What's up, y'all? Smoo here today, back on the Barry's channel, and I wanted to go through some more examples of, I guess, like space and how taking the correct space can ultimately lead you to win games, or just maybe just as simple as take the point, retake the point, and things of that nature, right? And so as you see here, we're on one of the Wakanda maps, and I just picked two random teams, no rhyme or reason. And yeah, I just want to just go through like the typical team fight and show how teams can, ultimately win the point no matter who they are, right? And so let's just say, we got two teams here. They just walked out of spawn, and let's say they just so happen to get here at the same time, right? And let's just say both tanks on both teams decide to just go straight to point, right? I don't necessarily agree with this, but let's just say this is what they decide to do, right? And then let's say on the left team, Bucky follows, Invis follows, Rocket says, I can still hear and heal people, and then Moon Knight says, actually, I like this height over here. I kind of want this. And then let's say Hela kind of has that same idea, we'll say Hela stays there. Let's say Psylocke has that same idea, right? Maybe Psylocke doesn't necessarily want the height. She kind of wants access to the back line, but she has to come up here, right? And then the healers, both healers kind of stick to the tanks, right? And so now we're getting to a point now where we have two people fighting for some space here, right? Now, let's say that, Psylocke communicates, yo, Moon Knight's trying to take height, and Hulk says, oh, no he's not, and jumps up here. Boom. Here he is. And now Moon Knight is in a situation now where he's in a 2v1, right? He can't stay here, right? He notices that the Hulk shows up. Psylocke is also like shooting him. He can't necessarily take this space, right? And let me start using my bubbles to give y'all a little bit more visual here, right? They effectively own more space up in this area of the map. Let's go down and up a layer, 2, 3, and then let's say Moon Knight kind of has this little one, right? Since he doesn't have as much space as the other two are commanding, he's not able to really stay here, right? The other team has space in other areas of the map, right? You could argue that these guys have more space concentrated on the map or on the actual objective than the other team does. Like, let's say, okay, like, because we have more bodies, we can more freely, stand on the actual objective here. While, since it's just Thor and the healers, he has to play this cover. Go ahead and do this. Something like this. Ooh. Oops. I did not mean to. Let me just Control Z. And then I'm gonna give Hela a little bubble here by herself, and then I'm gonna give Rocket another bubble here. He's also by himself. Rocket's bubble's pretty big, excuse that. And then let me get these layers popping. Okay, we are almost done with the bubble stuff. Okay, cool, right? And so this is happening, and Moon Knight can't stay here. He says, I'm gonna go back to my healer to get healed up. I can't own that space anymore, right? And now, since he's with Rocket, they got a little bit of space here. This is gone. And now the blue team owns this space. This is a lot of the, pretty much the same thing as my other example from the first video on space, where, the enemies taking space from somebody else, right? So now we own this space, right? And so now that Moon Knight is gone, right? Hulk says, yeah, we got Moon Knight off a height. Let me jump back to help the front line out, right? And now, since they're here now, and Hela says, oh, well, since it's free, let me go up here too. And now they both own this height. Both Psylocke and Hela now own this height, right? And what they can do from this height now is put pressure on the enemy team, right? Let's just say, like, Hela's got much more range. maybe. I'm not a Psylocke main. But let's say they're both pressuring here, and now, you know, Hulk and Thor are also, you know, providing some pressure. Here, I'll draw lines for them too. Oops. Are also providing some pressure here, right? Now, it's two angles of attack. Now, there is some pressure from Moon Knight. However, you know, Hulk is kind of playing this corner, and I guess he can kind of shoot from, you know, does he shoot? Over here, or does he shoot more like up here to try to provide pressure here, right? But Psylocke is kind of playing this cover. Moon Knight can't really see that, right? Okay, so now let's say this, right? Let's say I'm gonna get rid of all these lines, and let's say Psylocke decides, all right, we got this height, but I see that the rocket raccoon is healing for free, right? I'm gonna go over here and try to harass him and take him out, right? I'm gonna take some more of this free space in order to see if I can take out this rocket, right? Keep in mind, we still have pressure from the Hela from height here onto point, because she has free view and free view of point, right? And now Psylocke goes ahead. The Moon Knight isn't paying attention. He's so focused on trying to see things that he can't see, right? He's trying to shoot this over here, but he can't really do it, but he's trying to. He ignores the rocket, and rocket dies now because Psylocke took the 1v1. Boom. Now they're down a healer. And Psylocke even decides, okay, well, I can start pressuring this Moon Knight again. You don't have a healer anymore, right? So let's say, okay, now she's putting more pressure. Moon Knight realizes, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And so he moves. Well, first off, his space is now shrunk, right? He doesn't have a teammate anymore. And then let's say he moves to over here to get this health pack. I should do this already. Look at this health pack over here. He goes, so he's out of the fight, right? Because he needs to go get healed, right? Because pressure's being applied now, right? So now Psylocke has options, right? Well, one, more space has been taken, more space has been claimed, right? And these guys aren't receiving as much healing. This fight is still going on. Let's say it's sort of stalemated. They're just brawling, right? I've just been showing you the examples of the characters that have been making more space here, right? And I've just been using Psylocke just as an example. Any one of these characters, you know, Hela, Thor, Hulk, could have been doing what the Psylocke was doing. And I just want to definitely emphasize the fact that you don't have to be a tank to be the one making space, right? As long as you're able to apply pressure and force others to leave, you are able to make space for your team, right? So now these guys have to leave though, right? Like they can't stay here forever anymore. Oops, I'm like trying to, give me a second. I'll just scroll down some to the way I have this in here. I'm still new to Excalibur, excuse me. But yeah, so now these guys say like, oh, we're down a healer. There's more pressure from, I should do these lines. More pressure from, you know, Psylocke now because, you know, she has some backline pressure now, right? Let's say like, you know, Invis in the backline pressure. These guys got to move. They can't stay there forever, right? These guys move, their bubble moves. Now these guys can, you know, forcing them to walk forward. And this is all because Hulk helped Psylocke and Hela take this space. Psylocke saw an opportunity to take out somebody that was out of position by themselves. Well, not really, but the Moon Knight, right? Wasn't looking at the rocket. Gets to kill on the rocket and forces Moon Knight back now, right? Let's say this extra pressure causes, and then now Hela can kind of she can either go here to help, you know, more so main like frontline pressure to keep creating that angle, or she can help flank with the Psylocke to take out this guy, right? And so let's say Moon Knight tries to come back and fight, but then realizes, oh, it's a 2v1. Oh, he dies now. Let me move his bubble. And now the rest of the team just converges on the enemy, and boom, they get wiped out. Move their bubble, and I'm gonna just move them individually as it is a little easier and strange. Okay, cool. So now we were able to, well, I'm trying to take out some lines here. We were able to take the enemy team out. The team takes point now, right? And so this is them They stood on point, so then they can go ahead and claim the objective, right? Also to make it easier for me to clean up everything else that just happened, right? But now what do we need to do, right? This team has this objective already. What this team needs to do is move up here, right? Trying to rotate this a little bit. Yeah, something like this. They need to move up here. They now move up here, right? To stop the enemy team from easily getting back to point. We're going to hold this space here now, right? This forces the enemy. Let's say they hold it from this high ground side. They play this side of the corner. Maybe Hulk can play the other side. But everybody else is kind of like, you know, here. And then let's say Psylocke is over here, closer to where the health pack is that I accidentally moved. And, you know, trying to control this health pack so no one can come from this angle, because that is another way they can come, right? Psylocke is holding this health pack. And then the rest of the team holding here now, right? And so now this forces the enemy team that is walking back now, right? They're here, stuck at the choke. How will they ever be able to retake this space to then go back to then take point, right? Because this team is blocking them, right? This is their space. It's so hard because of the choke for them to just walk in, right? There's no free space from this angle for them to control so that they can walk in. So what should they do? Well, they have a couple options, right? And I think the main option that most teams will opt for is to ult, right? And so let's say Emma steps up here and says, okay, I'm gonna ult in, right? I forget what she says when she ults, right? But boom, this is her ult here, right? Now the team holding here sees this. Let me layer up. The team sees this and they say, uh-oh, we can't stand in that. We gotta go. And where do they go though? They go back 2 points. This is place that we already claimed. This is our space. This is where we're gonna fall back to. This is how you should disengage when the enemy decides to try to claim space using ultimates, right? You can't stand here. This is absolutely no, right? I'm gonna use, yeah, okay, I like this. This is a no zone, super no, right? You cannot stand in the ultimate space. You need to back up, right? And so now, because of that, you know, the team is able to now claim this space, right? They can stand up here. And now let's say, like, okay, like, and then Psylocke, let's say Psylocke is still just back here, right? You know, now the enemy team is down 1 ultimate, right? But all they did was walk out of the choke. They still didn't claim the point yet, right? So now they say, okay, we need another ultimate so that we can actually take the point. So Bucky says, all right, bet, here I come, armed and dangerous. Let's say this is the, you know, the what's it called, and let's say and Viz got caught in this, right? And then Luna says, oh no, my team, I'm gonna ult to save them. Oh, oops. Boom, I'll do ult as green. Let me start layering these back down. There it is. And then I'll do ult as green. Right? And so Luna says, all right, I'm gonna ult. And so we all know how Luna ult goes. She stands here for free, right? The Bucky trying to use his ult, unable to get the kill, and then he winds up getting wiped because, you know, Hela 2 taps him. Everybody's looking at him while mid ult. It doesn't work. He dies. Ult space that ult made is gone. These guys tried to move up, but unfortunately, since he died, they're no longer able to. And then now Luna is free to, you know, move up with the rest of her, you know, the ult time, even though it is nerf, right? But she's able to reclaim this space as a healer so that her teammates can walk up forward without taking any damage. And now this team is effectively back at square one. The Emma ult is gone now, and the rest of the team is forced back here, back at this choke, while this team pushed up because the Luna ult lasted for a good amount of time. And now this team has reclaimed their space, right? They stepped back when there was one ult, used another ult to protect themselves from another one, and now they own the space again, happily, not not being damaged. Dang, I just killed Bucky. Hold on, I gotta find. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to disconnect them from the server. Okay, Bucky's back. Way too dead. Okay, cool. Darn, the red team was unable to take point. Now, what should they do? Hold on, and I didn't mean to copy this and move it back because they still own point, right? Still own point. They're standing up here now. I'm gonna give them a little less space on this area, right? So now what should the enemy team do, right? They tried to take main using an ult. It didn't work, right? Let's say, what should they do? Now, they have a few options here, right? Like I said, it's very difficult to take space that's already claimed from another team without using major resources, major cooldowns. They just tried to ult to point and it did not work, right? But what if the enemy team decides to take some free space, right? There's some free space down here, the low ground. I don't really like that though. Like, you're inherently already like losing. All the enemy team has to do is look down towards you. Psylocke can go down there too. She's still over here. She's been safe this whole time. Nobody's able to even contest her, right? But what if Moon Knight says, all right, I'm going to go try for a little flank action here. And then he notices like, oh wow, look at all this free space over here. What can I do with this free space? He can start doing damage. Let's just say he just finds out the space is free, right? He's owning this space a little bit. He walks up and he says, yo, I have the perfect opportunity. Let's say both heals over here. I have the perfect opportunity to get a major ult off here. And boom, that's exactly what he does. He decides to ult and he's able to take out 2. Well, let's say he only gets 1 healer, right? Let's say Luna was able to get out. But or let's say Invis was actually able to get out. And let me move this out here. Let's say Invis was able to jump out, but he got Luna. Darn, Luna back to spawn room, right? This team now has to back up, right? We fall back to point again. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And let's say, during their walk back, right? And Viz took some damage from the thing. She doesn't have a healer to heal her. Moon Knight was able to take her out while she was on the way back to spawn. Now she dies, right? The amount of space this team can hold has officially shrunk because they have no more healers, right? And now this team's able to walk up for free. Moon Knight can stay here if he wants to, right? And shoot. The rest of the team pulls up. Boom, boom, bam. Psylocke, unfortunately, had to step back too. Wasn't able to get a pick. Comes back here. And now since these guys don't have any heals, they all go back to spawn. They die. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. No more space. Bye bye. And now this team has claimed the point. And now what do? The same thing the other team did to them. They walk up here and hold this choke point until they force a major cooldown to then take out the enemy team. And that is Marvel Rivals in a nutshell, right? Like, we need to be very aware of the space that we want to control so that we're able to capitalize on ultimately the mistakes of the other team, right? Like, the Moon Knight had the right idea of taking this high ground taking this high ground initially, right? However, it didn't work too well for him because he got into a situation where he was 2v1, right? Forced to give up the space. The other team owns the space, is able to apply pressure to the enemy team, and ultimately winning the point and holding them out until they use major cooldowns to then retake the space. And they weren't even able to take the space off the first major cooldown. And I think that's just another important, knowing when you have to give up some space in order to regroup yourselves so then you can take it right back. It's never an infinite holding of space, right? You're going to have some games where you might be able to hold it for a very long time. I think I said that in my last video, but we can't think that we can ultimately hold the same space forever in a match. And so it is an ebb and flow how matches go, especially when it comes to like taking and controlling space. And it's very important to just, you know, take the best space that you think is going to help you get that advantage in the fight and hold it as long as possible, but know when to just ultimately you have to give it up so then you can retake it later. I hope that was a good example for y'all. I just wanted to like double down on the space taking and give y'all another example in a 2D plane to sort of supplement some of the examples in the last video where I went into the actual game and showed y'all how I was able to take space, deny space, and things of that nature, right? And so again, I hope y'all enjoyed this. If y'all have any more questions about space or just any other lessons y'all want to see in general, please let us know. We'll definitely be cranking out some more educational content for y'all. Again, this is Smoo on the Berries channel. GG.